music of emerging singer and songwriter Monique Melendez has a little touch of pop country soul. I talk one on one with the singer and songwriter about her music and her new album, I Do, which is now on YouTube, for this edition of Quintin's Close Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close Ups on Facebook. Monique Melendez, welcome to the award winning Quintin's Close Ups.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. I understand that you are an emerging singer and songwriter from Summerville, South Carolina. Who is Monique these days?
Correct. I've been performing locally for local shows, private events. I also performed at the Coastal Carolina Fair this past week or 2 weeks ago, and that was very fun. So I've just been kind of getting my name out there and spreading the word, making sure people know about me, know who I am and what I like to do, and hopefully they'll continue to spread that word and get more gigs around town and whatnot.
Let me ask you, who is Monique Melendez?
Monique Melendez, she is a feisty, fiery, passionate 27-year-old who grew up learning singing really in the church. I started very young, and my grandmother was a choir director at church, so I kind of didn't have a choice in terms of me singing, but I loved it, and I grew a passion for it. And so then as I became older, I became an adult, it was something that I still absolutely love to do. So I picked up instruments. I also played instruments in school growing up. I picked up the ukulele about 5 years ago, and I absolutely love the sound. And I was like, I think I can write songs on this, and started doing that, and it just took off from there.
Wow. What would you tell your grandmother now about your music career?
Oh, she would. I'm trying not to cry. She would be so proud of me. Because one thing she always did was encourage us to, everything we do it in a way that would be pleasing in God's sight. Sorry, I'm going to cry. So she would be absolutely, completely astonished, but very proud of me. Because she always wanted us to do our best and have that be shown in everything we do. So I'm sorry. I'm very emotional when it comes to talking about her.
Yeah. And I know
because she is what encouraged me to do everything I do now.
And I know she's looking down on you from heaven as well. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. For sure. I'm crying. But yeah, she would be so proud. I talked to my mom about it the day I performed at the fair. I said, Mima, that's what I call her, Mima. I said, Mima would have been like, we'll be fine, just get there on time. The whole time I'm like thinking about her and just excited that I had the opportunity to do that, because when I sang on the Today Show a couple of years ago when she was still alive, she was so excited. She's like, I saw it on TV. I sent it to everybody. So, yeah, she's definitely somebody that's always encouraged me in my music career. So,
oh yeah, thank God for her. And how do you, Monique, please God and your grandmother today with your music?
How would I say that one more time?
How do you please God with your music?
How do I please God? A great question. I try to limit the amount of sexual references in my music for the most part. I don't. My ukulele's name is Gloria, and I named her Gloria because it reminds me of Gloria, and I'm like, I bring glory to God by playing her. So most of my songs, I do have a couple of songs, Christian songs that I've written, but most of my songs are based off of my life growing up and whatnot. So I really I do, and I play everything in a way that would be pleasing to in God's sight, and that's kind of how I feel about that.
Yes, indeed.
So, I try to limit curse words in my music.
I understand.
I want everybody to be able to listen,
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. I understand that completely. And obviously, you talk about your life experience. You said that you write songs about your personal experiences. What song describes you the best?
Oh man, there's a song called that I wrote, and it's called "Just Take Me Fishing" because I'm a very, very, very avid, passionate fisherman. And it's pretty much the take on um, like a girl wanting to go on a date with a guy, and I don't need a fancy dinner. I don't need, 5-star restaurant. Just take me fishing. Just get down and dirty. Worm on a hook. Nothing super extravagant. Just me and my natural southern soul.
I love it. I love it.
So
Yeah, that's amazing.
yeah,
As a matter of
that
fact,
is definitely.
yeah, that's amazing. And you said on your Facebook page something about being on the water, fishing brings peace to my soul. Let me ask you, how has music brought additional peace to your soul?
It definitely is my way of getting my feelings and emotions out by putting thoughts and feelings to paper, to words. So when I'm having bad days, usually, of course, on good days I can always write, but on having bad days, I try to write as well because it forces me to be vulnerable to my emotions, my feelings, and to get them out there. Because we all are humans, we all experience a lot of the same things. So sometimes it's good for other people to hear what I'm feeling and know that they have something to connect to. And that's kind of my piece. So music and the water are my piece. A lot of times I take my ukulele out on the water with me when I'm fishing so that I can play while I'm fishing.
Yes, yes, that's a great idea. That's absolutely a great idea. Let me ask you, Monique, what's that vulnerability in the music world today that you know of?
um, Being vulnerable in the music industry, it's a lot of people don't realize the music industry is very difficult. There's more than just getting on stage and singing. There's more than just signing autographs and people knowing who you are. It can be very overwhelming, and you can lose yourself in it by trying to please everyone and everything. There's practice. There's a lot of hard work. People are just like, "Well, why aren't you famous yet?" And I'm like, "There's so many steps to this entire program, to this entire work field. Just like anything else, you prep for work, you train. There's so much that goes into it, and people don't see it as that. They're just like, oh, well, you're singing or you're this, like." So being vulnerable, it's like I want to pursue my dreams and come out and make music my passion. It's 100% my passion, but I have to be vulnerable and understanding that I can do all that and not lose myself. I can still be myself. I I prefer to 100% be myself. you know. So it's um it's something that I've become more aware of because when we want to set out and follow our dreams, sometimes we don't really know what that entails. We're just excited about doing it. So once you learn the steps and you learn, oh, there's all this work that goes into it, it's like, am I strong enough to be able to do this? 100%. Am I strong enough to continue to be myself while I do this? And that's something that I 100% will stick to for the rest of my life. I will not sell my soul to become a famous singer. That's definitely not something I would ever do. Um, because I believe that if I'm not myself, then what am I really doing? Is it something that I can really be true to? And I don't want to lose myself in anything. So,
Yeah, you're right, and you will be famous soon. But how have you, Monique, have not been able to lose yourself in this music world?
I think that just comes down to my how I was raised and my upbringing. Like I said, I was raised by a single mom. My grandmother, she was a big influence on my life, and my great grandmother. My great grandmother is actually the one who taught me how to fish. So I have very strong women in my life who took me to church. Again, my faith is a big part of who I am. So I 100%, I give glory to God in everything I do and how far I've come. And I think that's what I stick to the most in terms of not losing myself. And I admire other artists who do the same, such as for example, Gabby Barrett, she's a country singer, and she's very she always brings up God and everything she does, and I admire that so much. And I think that's how you, when you have a focus like that, especially your faith, it's so easy to not become part of the world. You have your center, your rock, and so that's how I believe I'm so headstrong in what I do, because God is with me at all times. So
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
that's
And I know in the interview you told with Layla Gulen on Fox 24, there's a big difference between singing in church versus singing for yourself. What were you telling God in those moments?
I believe, so when singing in church, we're doing praise and worship. It's all glory is being given to God. And then when you step out into the music industry and you're singing to pretty much please other people, it's a whole different thing, because you're being judged on your singing abilities, you're being judged on your lyrics, you're being judged on all these things. When you're singing glory to God, God is just being pleased that we are giving to him. Nobody's really, it's not a concert, no one's judging how you're singing. So it's a completely different feeling. And that's where I felt vulnerable, because I'm like, I am now putting myself out there to be judged by my voice, my appearance. It's not just me singing glory to God. This is me singing in hopes that people will accept everything about my singing. So, and I was like, if it's meant for me, it is for me. That's how I was rated. What God has for me, it's for me. No man can take it from me. So, I've taken that with me everywhere I go.
Yes, absolutely. How have people been able to accept your music?
I think it's been, most people, when they hear it, they hear my voice. A lot of my fan base is from me singing locally, me singing karaoke. So people hear my voice and they get to talk to me. They get to know my personality. I'm very fun, outgoing, usually very positive girl. So I think when people have the face and they have the way I dress and they have the sound, it's something that they can connect to. And that's what draws them to want to hear more.
Wow.
It's not just my voice, it's me as a person too.
Yeah.
So,
And I know that in the interview with Layla, you said, hey, listen, I am a vintage Southern personality.
yes, 100%.
Yes, ma'am. How has your personality actually match actually music that is?
It's like I said, I write all of my songs based off of my emotions generally, and experiences. So because I have a very happy, get up and go vintage personality, a lot of my songs are written like that. But that's also, like I said, why I write when I'm sad, why I write songs too, because I don't live in a perfect bubble where I'm always happy. I have my bad days too. But I can get that out on paper, and then I write a tune to it. Usually I start with a melody. I start with some chords, and then I start humming to it, and I'm like, okay, words. So that's how that goes. But yeah, I spit it all out into lyrics, my personality.
Personality, yes, ma'am. And you told, well, Layla basically said in that interview that music came to you naturally, she thinks, but you said it took some time. When was that time that music came to you naturally?
Definitely, once probably about middle school. In elementary school, everybody takes art and choir and all these things. And I remember when I was in fourth grade, one of my classmates, I still remember who it was. We were singing in choir, and he looked over at me. He's like, "You have a very beautiful voice." And I was very shy then, so I was like, "Oh, thank you."
Right.
And then in middle school, you're getting more out there, more outgoing, way more people. I was in band. I played the clarinet in middle school, so I picked up my ear and my feel for music, because no one's singing, but you have the melody, you have the band. It's like a choir, but all instruments. So I fell in love with that sound. And high school, I was still in choir at church, but then I became the choir director at church. So then I could pick out and hear alto, soprano, tenor, like all these different, and it was so fun for me. Oh, I loved it. I was like, I get to be in charge. Yes. So really high school, I think, propelled my love for music even more because I got to stand in this position that my grandmother stood in for many years growing up. So then I got to hear what she got to hear, and with me still being in band, I picked up the guitar. I started writing Christian songs on my guitar when I was about 13, and I just had all these several different things that were influencing, and I was like, this music thing is definitely I want to keep up with it. I totally love it. That's what definitely what started it all. Probably about high school,
High
middle
school.
high school.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. And I know that you told her also that, singing, you have to sing outside of your comfort zone. What is your comfort zone right now?
My comfort zone is mainly. That's a good point. Um, I would go out and sing karaoke a lot, and it's because it's people I know. The only thing about karaoke is that it's usually held in a lot of bars, and it's late at night, which is not always the best time for me. And the crowd can be hit or miss. But because I'm becoming somebody that a lot of people know,
Right.
I usually always feel safe. So now I'm starting to step out doing more private events because nobody knows me at these private events. Everybody knows me at this bar or this place or whatever. But when I do more private events, that is forcing myself to become a little comfortable because I don't know people. So I have to, in a sense, win them over with who I am. So and it's nice because it opens up a whole new world for me. Because I'm going to be singing on stage, which is also why I did the fair, sing stage, sing more in public, people to see me and hear me. So I have to expose myself to that. So yeah.
And speaking of the fair, you told Layla, hey, you feel like your music is pop country soul. What got you from singing in the church to now being, in many people's mind, a pop country soul singer?
I believe that was my influence as well. With when I was about in middle school, I bought my first CD. I'll never forget. It was not any. It was not a pop CD. It was a Aerosmith CD because I wanted to hear different genres of music. And at the time, "Dude Looks Like a Lady" was my favorite song because it was. I did tap, jazz, and ballet dancing for 13 years. So my exposure to music was also from dancing school. So that was the song we danced to that year, was a jazz dance, and it was to "Dude Looks Like a Lady." So I bought my first CD, and I started listening to more mainstream pop music on the radio, and I was like, I kind of like the vibe of that. Grew up on Christian gospel, a lot of gospel music. Grew up on R&B and stuff like that, but I wanted to kind of step out and hear other genres that I wasn't exposed to, and I really picked up the vibe of pop music, and also country more so became like 2 years ago. I'm not a huge fan of um, older country music. Sorry to say this, but mainly more newer country music.
Yes.
I do some of the old country stars, but more so the modern, mixing in with the pop and the rock and the big drums and the loud. Like that's more so my something I connect with because I just like big energy. And gospel music usually always has big energy.
Yes.
So that's why I grew up loving that.
Right.
But long story short, I feel like I picked that up more so in middle school, my love for it. And then became at a radio. Most radio stations play a lot of pop, top 40, top 100 hits.
Right.
And so when I heard Meghan Trainor for the first time, my sister introduced me to her. I was like, didn't really care for all of that bass. It just seemed too to me. But then when I listened to her other songs, I was like, oh, her doo-wop style, the soul in her voice, that sounds like me. And so I was like, man, if she can become who she is than I 100% believed that I could, you know. And I stepped out of my shell a little bit. When I got to meet her and I got to sing for her and she loved my voice, I was like, okay, now the confidence is coming up a little bit.
Right.
Because for years, I manifested and I believed that I would sing for her because she was my first concert ever. And I told my friends at work, I was like, oh, I'm going to sing for Meghan Trainor one day. And they're like, yeah, okay, Monique, whatever. And the day I sang to her, they were like,
Yeah.
like, I was like, told you guys, see, I manifested, I believed, like 100%. I was like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And that story in and of itself was a miracle. How out there, the whole thing happening was something that blows our minds to this day. So
That's amazing. Which one of her songs mirrors your music?
mirrors my whole. There are a lot. She's got so many. There are so many. It's a hard question. Probably more so her first album. A lot of her songs on her first album because it has that doo-wop sound in the background. I guess that's what influenced my my writing style because I just love it mixes a little bit of the soul and the shoo-wop and the old style, but also with modern beats and the harmonies. And so pretty much apart from All About That Bass, well, All About That Bass has the doo-wops in it for sure, but pretty much any other song on the album, Lips Are Moving. Dear Future Husband is 100% probably my go-to and favorite because it has that old vintage style to it. You know, vintage like me. So
Yes. What do you want your music and writing styles to be in the next 5 years?
ooh, I definitely want to collaborate with other artists because I feel like I can never stop learning. That's the mindset that I keep. Regardless of how much um, I've been raised on, regardless of how much I've learned with anything that I do, I feel like you can never stop learning. And if you keep the mindset that you can always learn something from someone, then you'll never, it will keep you humble. And you'll never feel like you know it all. So, in terms of the next 5 years, I would absolutely love to continue to collaborate with other artists and get into more songwriting sessions with other artists because I want to hear and be exposed to more. Because my mindset and my style is one thing, but I feel like I can still learn from other people.
Sure.
So that's that's a goal of mine that I'm definitely trying to do is get myself out there and see if other people want to write with me.
Yeah, that
So,
would be amazing. That would be amazing. What genres of music do you want to mix your music with next?
ooh, um, I feel like probably country. A lot of people have said that I have kind of a voice for country music, but also, I mean, I sing a lot of country songs when I'm singing, but probably more so R&B too. Absolutely gospel, Christian music, all of them, just as much as I can get my hands into, because I feel like I can sing a lot of different genres. Um, I'm I have a soulful voice. I love soulful singers because gospel music has a lot of soulful singers. Um, so gospel influences a lot of a lot of what I hear. So country music is easier for me to sing because I feel like um, there are not as many riffs and runs in it. So I can add that in. I can throw that in. I can make a country song a little bit more soul by me singing more riffs and runs into it. Um, but collaborating, I definitely want to write many genres as I can, particularly more Christian artists, pop singers, soul, India Ari, Jill Scott. They're great songwriters, beautiful,